My name is Tulie Martinez. I'm a Guatemalan born. I am 48 years old now. And I remember how life was back then. I grew up in a little small town, Mazatenango. And then after a while, we moved into my grandma's house. My mother was a single mother of 4 girls. And we moved in with my grandma. My mom went to work and I went to school. We used to live in a very impoverished town. All the houses were made out of adobe, dirt roads, dogs running around, lots of peasants. If you wanted to get a job, you would either work in your home, growing your own vegetables, or you would go really far away, traveling by bus, public transportation. It was very poor, you know, but everybody knew everybody. Everybody was friends to everybody. And the entire community just helped each other out. There was so much closeness during holidays, birthdays. All the kids just played in the street. It was so safe. You go to school, you come home, you do your chores, everybody played. I remember I was more like a loner. I didn't really like to hang around with my sisters or my cousins. I had a dog named Blackie. And me and Blackie, we used to go in the old chicken hut. Every day, after I did my chores, I'd take Blackie in a chicken hut, put a sheet around, and we have our own little life. Just me and the dog, until my mom or my grandma would call me. It was time for us to go to sleep. Morning, I loved to get up early in the morning because everybody was sleeping, and I got to run around with my grandma, feeding the chickens, getting the eggs, and I got to eat most of the breakfast. So while I was cooking with my grandmother, I was always eating. And it was really, really exciting to live in such a small community. We were not poor, dirt poor, but we were okay. We always had food, which was really, really important. And my grandma had a tendency to always help out the community. So it didn't really matter who came to the door. If they needed food, they needed work, my grandmother would go ahead and help them out. And you know, if it was a human or if it was a dog, they were always welcome. Usually the humans, as soon as they got back on their feet, they would go ahead and leave. The dogs would kind of stay around for a while. They'd take off maybe for a day or two, come back, eat some more, hang around, sleep outside, sleep inside the house. My grandma was just really helpful to everybody. And you know, it kind of brought on to me how just a smile, just a bowl of food can help that one person to get strength to keep going to wherever they're supposed to be going. I've always believed that I can do that. You know, I love my dogs, and I always think back about what I went through when I was there. So I remember being about 8, 9 years old, and my uncles felt that it's time for us to move to El Norte. They felt that the economy would be much better here in America. So one of my uncles came here, and then my second uncle came with his wife. Then my third uncle came, and then they sent for my grandmother and my grandfather. So they came. And little by little, they started bringing the entire family to Los Angeles, California, where we actually grew. I was actually the last one. I didn't really want to come. So I was 9 years old, and they wanted me to come. And every single time they tried to bring me to Los Angeles, I would get caught by immigration, and they sent me back. I think I was actually sent back about 11 times. I was a regular. My mom was actually the last one once I crossed over. And I think I was very fortunate that time because we met a lady to smuggle me through America, through the border. And I had to look like her boy. So they cut my hair really short. I really did look like a boy. And I came over and I stayed with that lady for about a month until my uncle came and got me, which was in San Diego. And then I went and I met everybody at home. And about a year later is when my mom finally made it through. It's kind of lonely without her, you know, for a whole year, taking me from everything that I've known and put me into a brand new environment. I started going to school, Figueroa Street School. We were living in, I guess you call it Watts area. It was 104th in Vermont. And I went to school and I learned English within 6 months. I could pretty navigate by myself. And my mom got there, my sisters were there, my cousins were there. It was like, for a 6-bedroom house, we probably had like 30 people living in there, including my uncle that had brought us over. And it was just, very close. Lots of children running around, everybody going to school. My mom, she didn't go to school. She didn't get a high school diploma or anything. She only has like a 1st grade education. So she was only able to get a cooking, like a house cleaning and cooking at a restaurant. So my mom had like 2 jobs to try to support us. And I went to school. I got me a little job cleaning the neighbors' houses myself. I would work on Saturdays. And every single little penny that I would get, I'd give it to my mom to help out. I don't really much remember my sisters, even though I know I grew up with them. I vaguely remember that around the age of 13, I kind of didn't like the way things were going. I didn't like the environment. And I was very, very good friends with my neighbor across the street. And I decided to run away. So I left. My parents tried finding me. My uncles tried to find me. I was rebellious at that time. So I decided to move and live at the beach. So I moved and lived underneath the Manhattan Beach Pier for approximately, I'd say maybe about 6 months to a year. Well, while I was living in Manhattan Beach Pier, I never stopped going to school. I continued to ride the bus to go to school. I was pretty smart. And then I got me a job working at Burger King. I remember that I had to give him a social security number and I didn't have one. So my girlfriend gave me hers. And I worked with her social security number at Burger King for many years. I graduated high school. I went on to college. By that time, my friend and I had gotten our apartment in Long Beach, California, where I went to college. I learned about computers. I got a certificate as a word processing specialist, and I got a job in an office for a trash company being a secretary. And that was a much better paying job there. After I worked in office, I went to learn how to type super fast, and I worked for an engineering firm. I could type almost 110 words a minute. And that was really fun because they would always ask me to come and help for the big projects. I even worked at a mobile refinery as a typist, and then I went back to work for the engineering firm at the end of the 2 years. During that time, I fell in love, had my daughter by the time I was 20. I was a single parent. I got an apartment, and then my parents and I started talking again, and we decided to go ahead and move into a house, and we rented it together.